we look at the destruction, debris strewn everywhere, we can see the hurting faces filled with disdain, dismay, despair. But in the midst there is a surging that's growing stronger every day, the spirit of a people knowing that God will make a way.
In my life, coincidence is God's way of being subtle, and basically God told me to come on this trip.
I talked to a friend about driving down with me and maybe just joining a group that was down there, and then all of a sudden St. Paul said they were sending a crew down. There was no hesitation. This was just something I wanted to do.
When this thing came to being, my wife said to me, "We can do that." And well, she even canceled a trip to California just to go. So it was kind of very important to her, and I felt to me too then.
Inner feeling that needed to be addressed as to giving back to other people's lives what the Lord's given us. Just feel that in my life I've been very, very fortunate, and felt it was time that I gave some of this back to people that needed it more so than I did.
Well, I've always wanted to go on a mission trip, and this opportunity came up, and my wife and I talked about it for quite a while, and we decided that this was the one that I should go on. There was a lot of need, and it just fit.
As we were driving down, I wasn't expecting to see much until we got close to our destination, but it was at least 2 hours out when I first started seeing trash in the trees and blue tarp roofs and trees bent over. These trees weren't just knocked over, they were bent at right angles, and trash everywhere. It looked like the storm had just gone through before we got there, except the roads were clear. The further we went, the worse it got, and I was just stunned at how widespread the devastation was.
But once we actually got to the coast, and you just see whole houses just in nothing but looks like a big, fire pit, and then you realize that that's people's stuff, and it's not just like you see in these photographs where you just look and you see, one shot. It's everywhere you look. You turn around in a complete circle, and the scene is the same everywhere.
And we went and visited the home there, looked at the house there. It was just unbelievable, the scenes.
I enjoyed everything going out until I took a tour of the devastation through, especially towards Biloxi and Gulfport, and especially at the bridge. I was just amazed at the power that these natural elements could wreak havoc upon the shoreline of the Gulf. And that was probably the low point of my visit down there.
Seeing the bridges was also pretty shocking. These big, massive concrete and iron structures that are pushed aside and crumbled like they're toys, and it was just really a mind-opening experience coming from here where nothing like that would ever happen. It was just you get a sense of what's going on from the media, but actually being right smack in the middle of it, it gives you a whole new appreciation for what you have and for what what the loss that people have suffered. And it's not just their relatives, but it's their relatives, their friends, their coworkers, their families, and themselves. Everybody's been affected by it.
It doesn't surprise me now that there's been so many problems trying to get things fixed down there, because no one really has a grasp of the scope of the disaster. There's no government on earth that could handle something that big.
It's not just that the devastation was so bad. What was really bad was that it was 5 months later. The devastation looked like it just happened but you just keep putting it in your mind that it was 5 months later. When you looked into a house, this was stuff sitting there for 5 months.
It's sad, but it's hopeful in the fact that there's so many people down there helping and willing to give of themselves and, take their vacation time to go and help people who really need it.
We got down to camp, and it was just as Sue had told us. It was really well organized, well run. We certainly enjoyed the devotions. One of the most memorable moments was probably singing the doxology to some Mexican tune, which was a little bit different.
The work we did was fascinating. There was just so much different types of work to do. There's work to be done. There's people's homes to clean. There's people to talk to, people to help them heal. Even in the supporting role on the camps, I spent a lot of time working in the camp, helping them get ready for large numbers of people that were going to be coming and helping. The people there were fantastic. I think some of my best experiences were talking with the people that work there on a full-time basis, or actually more than a full-time basis. Also hearing all the stories about God opened up doors and opportunities for each one of them to come.
Mainly what we did was a lot of taking out carpet and flooring and drywall and possessions of people's that couldn't be saved, and that was mainly the work that I did.
There's a lot of cleanup, a lot of removal of debris, wet carpets, wet drywall, you name it, clothing, just mounds and mounds and mountains of clothes and trash. Anything that had apparently gotten wet had to be removed from the premises. The latter part of the week, a good portion of our team spent time doing still some removal of the debris, but primarily then the cleaning up, the sanitizing and the bleaching and scrubbing the walls to get rid of the molds that are so adherent in the area after the storm.
I really enjoyed the work, whether I was at the high school, putting shelves together, or at a house taking things apart. I would have liked to do more building, but there's too much cleaning up yet to do before we can do much of the building.
The most important thing, I think, besides helping those people that were devastated by the hurricane, was the neat teamwork. Our team was just fabulous, and I just surely enjoyed being a part of that team. And to get to know some members of our church that I didn't know very well, and to feel very, very solid with them. All in all, it was just a great experience.
The cleanup made you feel like you weren't doing enough. There's so much that you could do for people. You know that you've just hit the tip of the iceberg. People are so grateful. Neighbors would come out and thank you for helping the state, for helping your neighbors, and those neighbors had nothing wrong with their house. So everybody was always thanking you. And you think, thanking me for what? I have a house to go home to.
It was also good that an important part of our training was that our focus isn't fixing the house, but fixing the homeowner, and listening to them, talking to them, hearing their stories, as we are helping them put their lives back together. And that's just a really cool thing that God gave me the opportunity to do.
We were only there for a week, but these people live it day to day and have for months and will for months or years to come, and just really are grateful and thankful that the Lord uses us to help His other children.